Don't put that in there.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Melina. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. This is part 2 of a series I told you guys about last video. So it's we're doing something a little different this time, a little bit different than the rest of my videos, but I think you guys will actually like this. This is my brother-in-law, Yvonne, and he is what we know to be the real estate investing guru because he's taught us everything that we know and how we went from 0 houses to now 3 houses. And so this video, I wanted to take you a little bit further into the actual real estate investing portion of things, not just how to buy a house, but now how to take it from 3 to 32 to where he's at now. So we're gonna go a little bit in depth on how he created a whole entire company out of this. All right, so let's jump right in, shall we? So where did you, I mean, I kind of know where you got started, but like really, I'm not exactly sure what made you, what put this on your radar?
Yeah, definitely. So it all started, actually, we bought our first house. Well, I guess let me rewind back a little bit. Growing up, my dad always told us, you know, investment is a good home. So when I got out of college, he was like, you need to buy a house, don't rent, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house. So that's what me and my wife, Alana, did. We bought a house.
My sister?
That's right. We bought a house. It was 4-bed, 2-bath out in Kirkwood, Missouri. And we ended up renting out the rooms. One of them being Melina moved in with us, and then and then my brother moved in with us. So they were both paying us, I don't know, like $300, $350 each or something.
Not a lot.
But it covered like 90% of the mortgage. So we were living, Alana and I were living pretty cheaply when we had those rooms rented. So I was just kind of Googled, you know, how can I get more renters? How can I get more of this? Because I feel like this is the way to live.
Oh wait, hold on. So I helped spark this?
Yeah.
Me moving in? Anyway, continue.
Hilarious. So yeah, you guys moved in, and
You're Googling?
I'm Googling. I wanted more, and I came across Bigger Pockets is one. Which I know you
podcast.
Yep. And the second was I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
I've read that too. If you haven't read that, you should definitely do it because it's good for all aspects, not even just for real estate.
Yeah. So it just changed. It changed the game, and then I was hooked. I was addicted, and then
for sure.
And then I just started educating myself and going to different meetups, meeting new people, asking the right questions. And it kind of just blew up from there.
So I remember, like, I don't know, this was like 4 years ago, I guess, when he first getting started. And he told us about Bigger Pockets. We started listening to that. And he fully immersed himself in it ASAP. Like, it wasn't just like this sounds like something I could do. No, like, he went balls to the wall from the very beginning. I mean, I remember all of a sudden coming home to this huge box of signs. And it was a We Buy Houses signs. And this was before he even knew how the fuck he was going to buy these houses. He's like, I'm going out, I'm posting these signs. So like, when you decide you're gonna do it, you just have to do it. So, okay, so tell us a little bit about your company now. Vested Interest is the company.
Yep.
How many houses you have. Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, we're Vested Interest Real Estate Group. So that's our brand name. And then we have different LLCs kind of breaking off with different partners we have. So I partner.
We'll get to that too.
Vested Interest Group. We have now, I haven't really done the math on it, I just kind of did it in my head. We have 35 units, so it doesn't necessarily mean 35 properties, 35 units. We can go into depth with that as well. So like, for an example, a duplex could be 1 property, but it's considered 2 units. So we have 35. We sold a couple in 2018.
So who are your business partners? I know you kind of partner with some people. I've seen them.
Yeah. So actually going to different meetups, I was actually at a meetup at a fraternity event, and I just started hearing, I heard this guy who is my partner today talking about rentals. He's like, yeah, I got a rental around the corner, and this is when I was starting to get into real estate. So it kind of caught my ear, and I went over there and started talking to him. We just built a relationship. So there's actually 2 brothers that I went to college with. Well, they went to the same college. I didn't go to college with them. So we just kind of connected. Both brothers are both lawyers who are great, and they brought me on an opportunity that I couldn't pass up, and it pretty much skyrocketed our business from there. That's one piece of the vested interest.
Oh,
and
there's
then,
more people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, wow.
then I partnered with a guy who found me on social media, actually.
I didn't know this part.
Yeah. So we did.
There's so much that I don't know. He's constantly doing shit.
Yeah. So we did a flip. We held it for about 3 months. It was about a 3-month project. Didn't go as planned, but I met him. We had the opportunity. We it brought another property project under our belt, saying that we did flips. So it didn't go as well. I mean, we made a little bit of money off of it, but now I have that relationship and that experience.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
And the third partner is my parents.
Yeah.
They just retired back in July of 2018, and they wanted more income, and they saw what I was doing, and they wanted to join. So I brought them an opportunity, and it changed their lives, I would say, especially their retirement life, because everything that we've been doing, the best deals for some reason have came from them. So it's been amazing. Yeah.
That makes me happy. It just kind of snowballed from there.
Honestly, it did.
Yeah. So actually that brings us to the next point about how, he kind of just randomly stumbled upon these people. He's always listening. He always has one ear open waiting for the word real estate, and literally the instant he hears it come out of anybody's mouth, he's asking questions, he's learning who they are, and that's kind of how he's gotten to where he is now. I mean, literally we were just at dinner last night. These people shared their table with us because it was so busy, and the first thing the guy says is he's a real estate broker, and Yvonne's like, wow, well, and there it goes. Now they exchange numbers and information and all of that, and I mean, that's kind of how it is. This isn't something that you just do half-assed. Yeah. Or at least I've never seen it be done half-assed. It's a consistent, you're always learning more, meeting new people, looking into things. And I mean, that's how you're going to be successful in this. That's how he's got 35 units now. It's not just from watching one video and being like, I could maybe do this.
Right. I totally agree. So it kind of brings me back to your last video, where you really just have to do it. You're not going to know everything. You really got to be hands-on, and that's the only way to learn a lot faster than just books and podcasts. You got to take the risk, and you got to do it.
Eventually, you just got to dive in. You just got to go for it, because you're never going to be fully ready. And which also brings me to another point of how he was just talking about how that last property that he invested in with the guy that he found on social media, how it just didn't go as planned. There will be houses, especially once you do start getting into bigger investments and stuff like he does, that aren't going to go as planned. And some shit might tank. But I mean, that's just how life is, and it's not always going to be, rainbows and butterflies, and you just have to be willing to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and keep fucking going.
Agree.
Okay, but with that being said, you obviously still want to do your research, and you still want to at least kind of know what you're doing before you just jump right in. So what are the things that taught you? I know we talked about bigger pockets, but from there.
Yeah, definitely. So the biggest thing, again, is just kind of jumping into it and being immersed into the real estate industry and investing and knowing your goals. But when I decided this was going to be, what I really wanted to do, this is something I want to do. Again, it was podcasts every day. I started on episode 1 for Bigger Pockets, and I'm already up to, I think they're at 316, 318 as of today. So I listened to every podcast. I went to meetups, so the different real estate groups. I'm sure there's some in your local community.
Where can you find those? Like Facebook, or how were you finding them all?
Meetup.com.
Meetup.com. That's an app too, right?
Yeah, it's an app.
Okay.
And website, and Bigger Pockets, if you join there. So it's a social media platform as well. So people can, interact with, just like through real estate on the social media platform.
They do have the social media platform. I forgot about that.
So you can look up their meetups there in your local community. And I went to 2 a month, and that's how I met people. And again, ask all the questions. There's no dumb questions. Ask every single question that's on your mind. Again, books. I read a lot of books. Well, I don't read. A lot of audio, audible books.
Same.
Audio books. So it started with Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Then I got into Grant Cardone from one of our friends. He put me on that. Yeah, he's got a lot of great books. Tons of audio books, tons of real estate books. Keller Williams, forget his first name, might be Keller Williams, but he has a book out there that's really good. It kind of details everything. I should probably pull these up, maybe.
No, I can link them down below.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll link them down below.
All right.
Send me a list.
Deal. Yeah, YouTube videos, you know, that always helped, especially when I was doing my first flip out in Soulard. That was YouTube videos is where it's at. I mean, you're never gonna, and if you're doing, and if you think, you know, you want to take on a rehab, you can't break anything. I mean, it's just gonna cost you a little bit of money, and you're just gonna keep starting over, and it takes time and learn. But I honestly truly believe that I learned a lot more in real estate by just doing it myself. But again, going back and where I messed up, asking the right questions, and learning from those mistakes.
For sure. I just wanted to briefly say that I've been to a real estate meetup with him, and like I said before, real estate is actually booming. Real estate investing is booming, and so everybody wants to do it now. So these meetups should not be hard for you to find. That meetup app, you will find something for sure, and everybody there wants to help.
Yes.
When I left, everybody exchanged business cards. Like, I mean, it was just my first time, and I was just there with him. But I mean, you literally, at least for us, sat at a table and just asked questions. So you definitely need to go to a meetup if this is what you really plan on doing. Okay, we're gonna get into the actual doing of things now. So, steps to find a house. What are the steps that you take nowadays?
All right. Yeah. So it comes down to finding a good realtor. So I like to partner with realtors, and I've used a few out there who own real estate, or have done a flip, or know what I'm looking for.
Who know what you want, what you're doing.
Exactly. So the first step is getting on their listing and getting on their, I think they send out daily emails on, you know, certain criteria. So like right now, I have a realtor sending me stuff, only multifamily, 2 units or more, within a certain zip code. So I look at those on a daily basis. And then if I see something that piques my interest, what's so great about this realtor is he'll go out to the property before I even step foot on it to even say if it's, you know, a good deal or not, or a potential deal. You know, some people have some issues with that because they think, oh, the realtor's going to take this project, or it's going to take it from me. You know, if he's a real estate investor himself. But not everybody. There's so much.
It's all about creating the relationship.
Yeah, exactly. That too, for one. And then for two, there's so much inventory out there that nobody can take everything. It's ridiculous. Millions
Which is a
of
really
deals out there.
good mindset to have.
Yeah. So we start there. I mean, I'm also on the different, you know, platforms, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. I'm always on those, looking at property, LoopNet, things like that. It's constantly looking, analyzing deals. You really got to know your numbers. Also, there's another thing called wholesalers. So wholesalers will bring you deals as well. So these are people who actually go out. They're considered real estate investors as well. They actually go out, find deals off the MLS that are not hitting the market. So these are people, they target people who, you know, who inherited a house from their family, who want to get rid of it, a divorce. They target people, you know, that are going through tough times, who need money, you know, quicker than a bank, quicker than 30 days. They target people like that, and then those wholesalers will get a contract to sell that, or to buy that property, and then what they'll do is take that contract and flip it. They'll just literally sign the paper over to the rehabber or the actual person who's going to go in and fix the house.
So they don't actually ever own the house. It's basically they're just being that middleman that kind of finds the property and then pushes it towards someone like him or us that actually want to buy the property and do whatever with it.
Yep. So those are wholesalers. So then once we actually find the property, and it's, you know, we want to put our feet on the ground, we use what's called a 70% rule. You can find that, you can Google that, you can find it on Bigger Pockets, 70% rule. For an example, if a house is worth $100,000, that's called the ARV, the after repair value. So you take that number, you got to know that number before going into any project. You can find the ARV through different comparables, different comps, and you can find that a realtor can give you comps, or you can do a quick comparison, you know, on Zillow. Usually it's houses that are selling within the last 6 months to a year.
Okay, so you can either find that from a real estate agent, or you can compare it to stuff on Zillow.
Yep.
For something that's similar. Okay.
Yeah, Zillow's not always the best. Comps come through, the best comps come through the MLS on what's actually sold in the last 6 to 12 months. Again, it's usually the average price that it's sold. If that's what.
So then you want to get it from a real estate agent, because not a normal, your average everyday person doesn't have access to the MLS. You got to have your real estate license to have that, right?
That's correct.
Right. So, I mean, you can get a rough estimate from Zillow, but if you can get the actual comp value from your real estate agent, that's where it's at.
Yep. So going back to the 70% rule, again, if you have the $100,000 value after repair value, you times the 100,000 by 70%. So 100,000 times 0.70, right? That gives you at $70,000. Then if there's rehab costs in there, let's say for an example, there's $20,000 worth of construction or rehab that you need to put back into the property. You take that off the 70 grand, so now you're at 50 grand. So then what most flippers do, they'll then add their little profit, usually about 10 grand in there, to take off from the 50. So your max offer for that property, that one property, would be about $40,000. So then you go from there, and then again, that's how you ensure that the property you're going into, you're going to make money, or there's equity in there.
Exactly.
So just to recap, the 70% rule is a guide to ensure that your project is going to go well. Again, there's always can be some mishitting things that could throw off the numbers, but it's all about the numbers. Again, it's 70% rule is, for an example, $100,000 house, then you take off you times it by 0.70, 70%, take off the rehab, so minus the rehab cost, and then minus a little bit of buffer for your profit, so about 10 grand. And that should be your purchase price, or your offer.
So you always make sure that you're making that money.
So after you have your offer, or your purchase price that you offer to the seller, you're going to negotiate, and you can go back to Melina and Matt's video on negotiation. But I always get the my closing costs added and wrapped into the negotiation as well.
Right.
With projects like flip houses and some rentals, most of the time they're as is, so going back and asking some things to be fixed is sometimes difficult. So you got to know the construction costs and things like that.
And then just really quick, so I mean, I know that we keep talking about, for the most part, like flipping houses and stuff here. You don't always have to flip houses. You can literally buy and rent, like what Matt and I have been doing, so then you wouldn't have to send a crew through to give you actual estimated numbers. He has his own crew for contractors, just because he does have a company at this point. If you're going to flip houses, you will probably get to that point. But again, it's literally as simple as going online and finding people that are freelancing construction, or right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all your answers are on the internet. So
once you have all your final numbers, you're making the offer, you get a house under contract, and then it goes to, and again, you can refer back to Matt and Melina's video, but it will go also into title. So title is, a title company is going to do the title work, the deed, and make sure the deed and the title is clean on that property, so there's no liens or anything like that that will come up. You want to make sure, again, that if you're offering $100,000, that they don't owe $130 on it.
yeah.
So the title company will find that.
True. Okay, yeah, good point. Okay, so I think one of the biggest questions that people have and are always asking is, how do you have the money to start this? What are your funding options? How the hell do you work a full-time job, and then all of a sudden now you're buying all these houses? So we're going to get into that a little bit.
Perfect. Yeah, that's one of the... Number one is, how did I get started, pretty much, and two is financials. And people think, we have all this money laying around that we can drop on houses, but guess what? That's not the case. It's all about being creative with your financing. So again, just to recap, we started just like Matt and Melina did, buying one house pretty much a year. And people don't really know that me and my wife moved, I believe it's 5 times. We moved 5 times in the last 5 years, just buying one house every year, and we would move into it. And again, you can refer back to Matt and Melina's first video on how they got started. It's exactly how we got started. So when you're starting, I definitely recommend this process. But what happens over those 5 years or so, or when you're getting started, you start to build equity. You start getting that rental income, especially if you're renting out. And that starts to build up. So you use that for for your down payments. So you can always refinance a property that if you own for a couple years where there's equity building up, you can pull some cash out and use that money to fund your next deal. So that's one. Two, we now use what's called a private lender. And how I found this private lender was building relationships, going to those meetups, and I always use the same person to fund my deal. Like even when I was buying the first 5, I always used the same lenders to build that relationship, right? So what happened was, for us, this lender at this bank or mortgage, he was a broker at first, but now he's at a bank. What happened was he saw what I was doing. I told we sat down multiple times together. We had 2 or 3 different lunches together. And this is a VP of this brokerage, and is now a VP of a bank. He saw what we were doing. He was really interested. He's like, I want to help you grow, and I want to help myself grow. Grow my money as well. And of course, who makes the most money in real estate? It's going to be the banks, the brokers, people who are actually giving you the money. Mm-hmm. So he realizes that, and he wants to become a lender now. So what he did is he offers his personal funds to us as a private lender out of his what's called a self-directed IRA, his 401k, pretty much. So if you have a self-directed IRA, you can actually invest in different products such as real estate. So that's what he does. We'll go find the property. I put a whole portfolio together with my numbers, the 70% rule, pictures, what we're gonna do, everything. It's a whole sheet that I present to this private lender, and I say this is how much I need for the purchase price, and this is how much the rehab's gonna cost. So what he does is he'll give us the purchase price money and the rehab costs up front for a fee. So he charges us 2 points. So points are like percentage. So for an example, if there's a $100,000 house all in, purchase and rehab, he will charge us about $2,000, 2%, 2 points. So I pay him $2,000 up front. I get the $100,000, pretty good exchange. So I give him 2, he's giving me 100, and then I pay off. I give the seller what he needs, and then I use the actual funds to actually do the construction piece. Now there's a catch. It's at 7.5 interest rate. So it's quite a bit. It's a little bit more expensive on the interest rate than your local traditional banks or brokerage if you go to. So, and there's another catch: 7.5% interest rate, interest only. So that doesn't come down every month I pay him. It doesn't come off the principal. So the principal stays at $100,000, and I'm paying him that 7.5%. So he's making that money. So. And then there's a third catch. It's a 6-month loan, short-term loan, very short. So you got to be in the project and then out within 6 months.
Yeah.
And so what you
you're
do,
all in.
Yep. So it's very quick, short-term loan, and it's got to be a quick turnaround time. So you're going in, you're buying the house, you're adding that equity, increasing the value. You want to get to that after repair value, and then you refinance. So Bigger Pockets, if you listen to them, they have what's called a BRRRR strategy. It's a buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. BRRRR strategy. So again, you're buying the property, you're adding that value, rehabbing it. You then, once it's completed, you get a renter in there. So then you're having that monthly cash flow. Then you refinance. So you go to the bank and say, hey, I want to get out, or a mortgage broker, I want to get out of my short-term loan. I added the value, I put the equity into there, and then you can refinance and either take some cash out if you like, if the equity is large enough, and that's what we have done as well. So we started with the private lender. He helped us out, got started, and then we followed that process, the BRRRR strategy, where we refinance, got
out of it.
Yep.
Then you made the money. Boom.
So
okay.
Always cycle that money in that strategy.
So how many years did it take you to get to the point where you met this private lender?
Good question. I think it took 3.5 years.
3.5. Okay. So they've been doing this for 3.5 years before they were able to create a relationship with a private lender. So a private lender isn't going to be something that you're probably dealing with right off the bat.
Right.
Because I mean, if you're working with a private lender, you're doing some real big time shit. You got to be in and out, so you got to know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then there's another creative way as well that anybody can go do. It's a little more expensive. It's called hard money.
Okay.
Hard money is pretty much the same concept, but you're going to be more at like 10 to 15% interest rate.
Okay, and who's
Very
it coming from?
So there's our hard money companies out there.
Oh,
yeah,
a hard money company. Okay.
Yep. So you can look up hard money lenders,
Okay.
and I'm sure there's some in your community, anywhere really. They're a very profitable business. They're expensive. We have used them in the past, but you know, if you're short on cash, that's a good way to get started. But if you know what you're doing, you're short on cash, it's a good option. And if you don't have the best credit and things like that, they kind of work around. They kind of gear to those type people.
You've kind of hit you guys have pretty much used like every funding option.
Yeah.
You can get your hands on. Right?
Definitely. And I'm pretty, and it comes down to like being creative with financing. Another option is seller finance.
Okay.
Back in December, Alana and I picked up 2 more properties where I built a relationship with somebody. It was a gentleman he was about to retire. At the time, actually this was 2.5 years ago. At the time, and I was trying to buy his property just, you know, traditionally. And it didn't work out, but we kept in contact. You know, he always was interested in what I was doing. I was always interested in what he was doing. Kept that relationship. One day, back in December of 2018, he's like, Yvonne, I'm ready to retire. I want to get out these properties. What can we do? And I said, honestly, I got a lot of projects going on right now. How about you finance the deal for me? He said, not a problem. He says, what are you looking at? I said, let's go with seller financing. I'll put $5,000 down. You hold the loan, and we can do this deal. So again, he becomes the bank now. There was no realtors involved. All there was an exchange of some money, and we went to the title company, and that was it. And now the deed, we go to the title company, deed goes into our name. Now we own the property for $5,000 down.
Legit. So there's many options.
So many. You can get so creative. We also put rehab cost on credit cards. We've used a lot of credit cards, I would say, just because we've always had a backup plan on what we're going to do.
Right.
And we knew, if I put, $10,000 on a credit card, I knew within 3 months that I would turn around, refinance, and pay that credit card off.
That's key. That if you're going to do something like that, you need to make sure that you have a backup plan and you know exactly where the money is going to come from. So you don't end up fucking yourself, and then all of a sudden you're broke because you tried to, invest in real estate and you didn't know what you were doing. So if you're going to do something like put it on a credit card, make sure you know where that money is coming back from afterwards.
Definitely.
One thing I also wanted to touch on that I didn't mention in the last video that I thought was kind of important to talk about is if you're going into this with a spouse or a significant other, leverage your loans. So don't go into a property and put both of your names on it just because you feel like you want to have halfsies or you want to feel like you're connected with him or whatever. First of all, you got to be real secure in your relationship, ladies. So don't get into this shit with somebody you don't think that you're going to be with for the rest of your life because you break up and then you have these properties on your belts. But anyways, so like what Matt and I did, and we did this because Yvonne ended up telling us to do this because they kind of made that mistake the first time. They put both their names on the loan. But when you split up the loans, now Matt has his FHA loan to use, I have my FHA loan to use, and then we can go from there. So we're taking advantage of both those loans. And like we talked about before, FHA loans have really low interest rates for your down payment, so that's why you kind of want to go with those. So if you both go in on it at the same time, you don't have that other one to use.
And also note on that, I do want to touch a little bit on why it is that you want to split up the loans if you have a spouse, is because you can only have 10 loans
there you go.
Under your name. So like with me and my wife Alana, we started off when we put both of our names on the very first loan thinking that was the thing to do, but it's not, because now every house that we buy, they're going to see my wife on the original loan, and they'll be like, well, the lender's gonna be like, well, we want Alana on this loan, my wife, and I can't do that now. I can't just go, well, now I can, but if you're trying to build a portfolio, you can only have 10 under your name. So again, it goes back to like Matt and Melina. Now they can, instead of just 10 properties, they're gonna double up and go to 20 easily.
That's where I was going.
Exactly. So then once you hit the 10, what most people do is they'll refinance all the 10 into one loan, one commercial loan, one actual like portfolio loan is what they call it. And then you start over. Then once you hit 10 each, you'll start right over.
Boom.
Now you can have 10 again.
And that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going from 10 to 20.
And imagine, if you guys start now, and if you're in your 20s, I mean, imagine what you guys can do in 10 years. It's ridiculous.
Even if you're in your 30s or 40s. 10 years, how long, okay, we haven't even talked about that. How long have you been doing this total?
Going on 5 years.
Going on 5 years, and he has 35 units.
35 units. A lot of debt, but don't let debt scare you.
No. Okay, so now that you guys have a little bit of background information on funding, probably the third most requested piece of advice that people ask about is, how do you have time to do all this with a full-time job? Because don't forget, he's still working that 9 to 5 until he, but anyway.
That's right. I do work, 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever it is. Full-time job for a large corporation out in St. Louis. But it is all about time management. So, how do I have time? Well, we outsource quite a bit. I'm not out there every day, plunging toilets. I'm not out there fixing leaks. I'm not out there, changing the windows. That's not me. We outsource everything. Everything comes down to how valuable is your time. I'd rather spend more time finding deals and bringing more deals in the door than actually going out and fixing toilets. So what we do is we have a couple property managers on staff who kind of help us, and those property managers have other handyman on staff as well. So I will text, if I get a text from a tenant, sometimes I don't even talk to all my tenants. I don't even know half my tenants, to be honest. And now that's not a bad thing. It's just you're outsourcing. Yeah, you're just outsourcing everything. I don't want all my tenants, all 35, to start texting me every time there's a problem.
Jesus Christ,
right?
You lose your fucking mind.
Right, exactly. But I do have a few. So for an example, one, we use so it's time management. We use a system called Buildium, and there are other property management softwares out there. And so what this system does, it does all of our background checks on our tenants. Our tenants can pay their rent right into the system, and they can request any maintenance through this system, and they have a phone line that they can call in, and once they call in, it kind of builds a little report that will go out to our property manager, and our property manager will then turn that around and give it to the handyman. So the handyman will go out there, fix the dishwasher, whatever. I don't get to see any of that. So what I do get to see is the bill that comes in. Mm-hmm. So then my property manager say, hey, we had a dishwasher that went out last week. We had to go pay. We paid $225 for a new dishwasher or whatever it was. Here's the bill. So then, I'll turn around and pay that. So outsourcing is a big thing. The only thing I really do spend my time on is finding the deals,
which is a big thing. Let's go into that point now, because yes, he outsources a lot of his time to do the little nitpicky things like that, but when he's not at work, he's working on real estate. I mean,
right.
it's that probably takes more time than even his full-time job, because he's never out of it.
That's right. Always. I
mean, you're looking during the day. It's pretty much so you wake up, you go to work, and then you get back home, and then what?
Either I'm at a meetup, building, relationships, meeting new people, looking at new deals,
meeting with your partners.
Meeting with my partners, having, weekly to monthly operational calls on what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. He's always on the fucking phone.
Always
I've been
on the
phone.
phone.
Fuck a lot. I'm sorry.
Hilarious, but it's so great about real estate because you can be so mobile. Mm-hmm. I really don't need to have my feet on the ground because again, time is money. I'd rather pay somebody $75 or $50, whatever that is, to go over there to get the job done right and get it done fast. Because sometimes I don't know everything, right? Mm-hmm. So it might take me 2 or 3 hours to go handle a toilet, which I have, by the way, but it might take me 2 or 3 hours, but I'd rather have a professional go do it in an hour. His hourly rate might be, $50 or $75 an hour.
Right.
So
it's all about that time management, balancing, but honestly, if you love it, then you're going to put the time in. And once you start seeing the money come in, then you're going to put the time in. Okay, and then I guess one more final thing then. If you could give one piece of advice to somebody who wants to start real estate investing, what's one thing that you would tell them?
Honestly, you just got to do it. You got to take the risk. Fear is a bitch, and it's going to hold you back. but you got to push through it. There was a quote that a buddy of mine posted the other day. Which do you want? The pain of staying where you are, or the pain of growth? So you really got, what that means to me is you got to take the risk. You got to do it. Stop all this, I don't have time for it. Stop all this, I don't have the money for it, because those are all excuses. Excuses suck, right? Just do it. Get your hands in there, start meeting new people, asking the right questions. Don't let anything hold you back. If you guys are comfortable where you are, trust me, you're not gonna grow.
No. And honestly, the biggest risks are what's going to make you the most money. Okay, so that's about it. I mean, this was probably a lengthy one, but I hope that we hope you guys got a lot out of this. We get a lot of questions all the time, so we kind of just wanted to wrap it up. If you want more videos like this, let me know in the comments below. We'll obviously be back together in Orlando at some point, or he'll be in St. Louis. But until the next video, you can find more information at his blog. It's vestedinterestrealestategroup.com. He writes about some of his experiences and whatnot. Also, go ahead and follow him on social media. I'm going to put his handle right here. It's at Ivan Malpica. DM him. I mean, he's asking people all the time. Let me know if you have a question. DM me, text me, call me, whatever. Like, he wants to help, and he wants to make this more of a part of his business. That's Blue. That's my nephew.
Dude, I truly do want to help people, because I had help. I did do it mostly a lot by myself, but it was actually going out and asking the questions. So I want to help people from the bottom of my heart. Please reach out to me.
Absolutely. So yeah, go follow him on social media. Follow me on social media as well. My handle is right here, at Melina Iverson. Also, do me a favor, please subscribe to this video if you like it. Also give it a thumbs up, hit the bell notification so you know every single time that I post. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next time.
Deuces.
But like, you're a loud talker, you're good.
I'm a loud talker.
Yeah, because Matt's not the loudest talker.
Show or what?
That's fucked up. Good looking out though. Shit. Oh, fuck. Say agreed again.
Agree?